Hello and welcome back to Bookish Brits. My name is Michelle, and as you can see from the title of this video, I want to talk to you today about Loveless by Alice Oseman. It was a book that I was really excited to read just because of the subject matter more than anything else. It's about a character who is coming to terms and I guess realizing her own asexuality, and I think that asexuality is definitely one of those sexualities on the LGBT plus spectrum that isn't talked about as much. It isn't explored as much. It was definitely not something that I really felt like I understood that much, even though I myself fall on the asexual spectrum. So it was a book that I was super excited to read. And I guess before I go on, I'll say that I am demisexual, so that's how I fall on the asexual spectrum. Really enjoyable. There was a lot of things about Loveless that just felt really important, and some of it is just so truthful and heartbreaking at the same time. So the first thing that I really enjoyed about Loveless is that it's about the first year of university. Our main character is it starts off at like a party at the end of the year sort of thing. Everyone's going their own sort of ways, and our main character has never been kissed. She's never been in a relationship, and I'll talk about that more in a minute, but I really loved that it was set at university. So her and her two best friends go off to Durham University, and it was a really interesting thing to see her being independent, trying, like, there wasn't a huge amount about university itself. It was more about friendships and joining stuff and trying to have a university experience. It's about this girl who doesn't really like going clubbing or going out. She'd much rather stay at home or in her dorm room reading fanfic, and I really related to that so very much. So that's the first thing that I really loved about the book. Just that she's not that great about making friends, about socializing, about, you know, going out and doing those things that like so-called normal young people do. And I wasn't a typical normal person either as a teenager. That wasn't my jam, and that definitely wasn't the main character's jam either. So I love that about it. Obviously, and it probably should have been number one, was the exploration of her feelings. She has this sort of like disastrous attempt at approaching her so-called crush at the beginning of Loveless, and it doesn't go very well. She wants to just get it out of the way and kiss a boy, and that kind of would mean that she's normal. It's just taking her a little bit longer, and she does make some pretty bad mistakes during Loveless, trying to explore her sexuality in a safe way, but she doesn't really take into consideration the impact, I guess, of her experimenting on the people that she's experimenting on. So I really love that about her. I think that the mistakes that are made felt really realistic, and just, I mean, I think that was a real strength of the novel, that the dialogue, the characters' thoughts and behaviors and actions just felt really true to life. It was a really good book. I think the third thing I wanted to mention about Loveless is the friendships that occur. So and I'm really sorry because there's this thing that I do. I really emotionally connect to a book like Loveless, and what happened after I read Loveless was I just couldn't pick up another book for another 2 days. I was in such a book hangover. I kept thinking about things, and I actually don't remember. Oh, now it's just come to me as I was thinking about it really hard. Georgia is the name of the character, the main character. It might not be though. But I just really don't remember characters' names very well, so I'm sorry if I just say main character. That doesn't mean that I didn't love this book, because Loveless has definitely ended up on my favorite books of the year list already. Because I just loved it so very, very much. And another reason that I loved this book so much is the characters and the way that they are with each other. So we've got Georgia, I believe her name is, and her two best friends from school, Pip and Jason, I want to call them, and they are such a great trio of friends. I really, really love that. And then Georgia ends up having a roommate at university, this girl called Rooney, who's very social. She's able to flirt with boys and just go after the things that she wants. She has a wide circle of people around her, but she seems to have this really great friendship with Georgia. They really get along, and Georgia really goes to her to get advice about what to do, how she can progress things further, to be normal, to have normal university life experiences, and they're just so very different as people. I really enjoyed seeing how very different they are, but their connection between each other was absolutely great as well. I think going back to the thing about the asexuality, it just felt so heartbreaking. The way that Georgia is approaching her thoughts about her own sexuality, and she really brings in how much love and relationships and sex just is permeated in everything that we do. All of so many TV programs and fan fictions, which is what she loves a lot. Film, music, a lot of it revolves around falling in love, relationships, having sex. She goes to visit her family, and it's all about, do you have a boyfriend? You got time? Everyone's sort of advice to Georgia is that it'll get there. She'll get there in the end. And the happily ever after that everyone mentions to Georgia, and it's true just in life, is that you're not going to be complete unless you have a romantic partner, unless you have somebody to be with. And I think that what I loved about Loveless so much is the friendship groups, the friendship relationships, I guess, that Georgia has as she's figuring out who she is and what her life is going to look like. It's about realizing what's important to her, and what's important to her is her friendships. It's the people that are in her life that are going to be there for her, and I think that there was a lot about it. It's very much like a coming out sort of a coming out story, but I've never read a coming out as asexual story before, and there was so much to it that I don't think that you really get with coming out as a lesbian or gay or bisexual, is that how much you're going to miss out with things. It's going to be, I think that Georgia being asexual isn't a negative thing at all, and that's very much shown within the text. It's not in any way a negative thing, but there are definitely things that Georgia has to readjust in her own thinking, just because it's so hard to not take on the expectations of the whole world in terms of romance and sex and relationships, that she has to shed some of the expectations that have been normalized for her and for literally everyone. And it really made me think, this book, more than any book that I've read recently, about how much everything is geared towards having a relationship or having sex or having romantic feelings, that it must be it really came across with Georgia's story how much it felt isolating, alienating, and just absolutely confusing when you don't even realize that about yourself. There's another character that is introduced within the narrative of an older character, I think in her 30s, who isn't even aware of the terms asexual or aromantic, and it's through a conversation with Georgia that it's that sort of realized, and that felt eye-opening as well. Like, even though I didn't realize myself that I was bisexual until I was in my 30s, that felt like it was normal because of the internalized homophobia that I had grown up with. It made sense from me as a person to not realize that about myself, but to go through some of these thoughts and feelings for a much longer time, and then to just not know that about I guess that label, it kind of really speaks to how important representation is, and how important a book like Loveless is for those who are going through these things. So it was honestly a really fantastic book, and there was so much to love about it. Like I said, I love the university setting, I love the friendships, I love the exploration of sexuality, I guess, but it was also just a really, really fun read. I loved that Georgia gets involved in performing a Shakespeare play, and obviously that was another example of how love is shown throughout entertainment and media. As you know, Shakespeare's is seen as an example of love and how love is expressed, and I just think that there was so much of this book that was just really, really fascinating, but I just wanted to say that it was also just a really, really entertaining read, and I absolutely loved it. I'm really sorry for this rambling review, but it's just a book that I just feel so many things for, and I really hope that you read it if you haven't already. That's it from me today. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel, like this video, leave me comments, turn on notifications, all of that fun stuff. And until next time, take care.